Hi there, you guys. This is Dragon Ball and Cartoon Fan 2004 here, and this will be another review video that will be released for today. Because this morning I did premiere that my review video on Rabbit Lover's new Cartman 1, Shrek 1 movie spoof project. I got that video to premiere this morning, and it was like an almost 40-minute long video. Even though, there were people watching it, but I didn't see anyone in the chats or in the comments or anything like that. But I know I'll get some responses on the review soon. And and on that same day, I figured I get out the Cartman 2, Shrek 2 movie spoof project review today, and review Rabbit Lover's new Cartman 2 project, which he did on another Vanilla Rabbit Lover channel, and called Vanilla Rabbit Lover 2001 Animation. And I was going to do this review in my room, the same spot I reviewed Cartman 1 yesterday. But since I'm actually alone in this hotel room by myself today, I thought it'd be a nice change of pace, nice little way to spice things up, and do the review out here with the TVs being off and with no one else being here other than me. Kind of like I have the whole place to myself because my older brother Jacob and my father are out working right now, and I think my little sister Josie's at a sleepover. So that means I get a good chunk of time here by myself. And I was just checking the schedule, and Gumball doesn't come on until 1, and the episode I want to start watching it until I don't want to start watching it though until 1:30, since they're gonna start Cartoon Network's gonna start Gumball by airing 2 episodes I already saw earlier this week. And there's still a bunch of time before Gumball comes on the TV. So I figured within the meantime, I would review Cartman 2, Shrek 2. There's going to be a bunch of stuff to cover in this review, but I can still view it. I can still review it within enough time to catch Gumball and all that stuff. And, Okay, so, before the review starts though, spoiler alert, because, a lot of stuff from Cartman 2 will be spoiled in this review video, certain type of spoiler alert stuff that I said before in many other videos. And also if you guys want to watch his Cartman 2 project, a link to that playlist I recently made that has Rabbit Lover's whole Cartman Shrek duology, that playlist will be in the description below. And also you guys can tell me in the comment section down below what you think of this review, what you think of Rabbit Lover's Cartman 2 or his Cartman Shrek duology in general. So with all this being said, I'm going to start to review Cartman 2. Okay, so first of all, let's start by going over the casting choices. Okay, now what casting choices to go over first? Okay, so to be honest with you guys, I didn't exactly text or write myself down the casting choices to go over. I did do that for the Cartman 1 review, but not in the Cartman 2 review. Why? Because I was too lazy to do so, but it's alright guys. I'll still make sure I'll cover the casting choices that I need to go over and all that stuff. And let me get this list started. Okay, so the first new casting choices to go over in Cartman 2. I want to go over the casting choices for King Harold and Queen Lillian in this new Cartman 2 movie spoof project of his. And this casting choice for King Harold and Queen Lillian is something I find to be pretty funny. And it's from a classic Cartoon Network show. It's from a classic Cartoon Network show, and a nice classic Cartoon Network show that people find to be scary but still really good. And I do agree that it is a classic. The casting choice for King Harold and Queen Lillian is from Courage the Cowardly Dog, and it's Eustace and Muriel from Courage as King Harold and Queen Lillian. What do I think about that casting choice? It's pretty... I think it's pretty damn funny. And pretty fitting, too, especially with... and I'd probably say that Muriel as Queen Lillian's more fitting out of the two, because, look at how sweet Muriel was in the show, and look at how sweet Queen Lillian was. Queen Lillian is in Shrek. That's pretty fitting, but Eustace as King Harold, I prefer that one over that too, because I think Eustace has always been my favorite character in Courage. He's a jerk, but he's a funny jerk. The way he says "stupid dog" and all that stuff, some slapstick that would happen to him in the show. I think he's a pretty funny character. It's seeing him be King Harold in this new Cartman 2 movies per project, I think, is pretty damn golden. It's pretty funny. And now as for the casting choice for Frog King Harold, now Rabbit Lovers went back and forth for who we wanted to have be King Harold for his Cartman 2 project for a little bit. In that muted cast video he did showing who he would have had in his old original Cartman Shrek series, he revealed that he was going to have Cat Dog's father from Cat Dog be Frog King Harold, because like what I did for my old Vegeta 2 Shrek 2 movie spoof project. Because you found out a nice way to get back at me, since that I plan on for my Shadow 2 Shrek 2 movie spoof project, I plan having Tom from Tom and Jerry be Frog King Harold, like what Rabbit Lover did in his old Dookie 2 Shrek 2 movie spoof project. But no, he changed that casting choice, and he was going to have one of his necklace characters. Then he changed that casting choice, and he was also going to have one of his necklace characters be Frog King Harold, but he changed his mind on that too, and he instead had it be one of his rubber snakes. for me, if you guys couldn't tell, but looking at how much I love Cat Dog, yes, I do think it would have been best that, out of those three ideas, I do think it would have been best if he had just stuck with Cat Dog's father as Frog King Harold. But still, I still like the idea of having one of his rubber snakes be Frog King Harold. Have Eustace turn into a big green rubber snake. That's good. Okay, so we got Fiona's parents out of the way. Now let's cover the casting choice for Puss in Boots. And yeah, this is one I definitely like. The casting choice for Puss in Boots is a casting choice for Puss in Boots that I've seen be used before. And while I do still prefer this character as Shrek, I still think he makes a really good choice for Puss in Boots. And I'd probably say voice-wise, he fits Puss in Boots like slightly better than he does with Shrek, at least voice-wise. And yeah, this character is my favorite Sonic character, and it's none other than Shadow the Hedgehog. Yeah, you got Shadow the Hedgehog as Puss in Boots. And as a Sonic fan and as someone who has Shadow as their favorite character, I really like it. Having Shadow team up with Cartman and Kenny, yeah, I think that's cool. Shadow is a good choice for Puss in Boots. I prefer him as Shrek, but he's still a really good choice for Puss in Boots. That still works. And yeah, good, really, very good casting choice for Puss in Boots. Okay, now what's next to cover? Now I want to go over the casting choices for the villains. The villains. The villains, Prince Charming and Fairy Godmother. And okay, so for Prince Charming, you have Bowser from the new Mario movie as Prince Charming. What do I think about that? Well, same thing. Similar description as I had with and for Cartman 1 when I was talking about Peach from that new Mario movie as Human Fiona. I'm sorry, I still haven't seen the new Mario movie, but I've heard it's supposed to be released digitally pretty soon, so yeah, maybe I'll get to watch it fully pretty soon, but yeah, I've seen small clips of it. Yeah, sorry guys, I still haven't seen the new Mario movie. I'm really jealous that I haven't seen it either, no offense, but I'm really jealous that I haven't seen it either, because I've seen people on YouTube, the people I'm subscribed to say they've seen the movie, and I've seen people do spoof casts and whatnot on this movie. Yeah, I really want to see it. I'll probably see it sometime this year, but so far I've seen clips of it, and it doesn't change the fact that I still love Bowser as Prince Charming. I still love looking at how I still love Mario and whatnot, and yeah, Bowser's Prince Charming. Probably wouldn't say it's as good as how he has Princess Peach as Human Fiona, but still, I think that works. I still think that works. As a Mario fan, I really like it. And for Fairy Godmother, you got Diane Simmons from Family Guy as the Fairy Godmother. That Newslate's the Fairy Godmother. Works really well. Works really well. Okay, now what else is there to cover? I think I want to wait until later to cover the casting choices for Human Shrek and Stallion Donkey. Even though, normally when I review Shrek 2 projects, I do cover those a bit sooner. I would normally cover the casting choices for those a bit sooner. But this time when I'm reviewing the Shrek 2 project, I'm going to wait a bit later to cover those. So yeah, now let me cover the casting choices for, the smaller characters. Now, first of all, okay, for Sergeant Pumpus. For Sergeant Pumpus, you got, Vanilla Rabbit Lover had himself be Sergeant Pumpus. Yep, that's right. Himself. He used himself for Sergeant Pumpus, which I thought was pretty cool. He recorded a video of himself when he did his part with Sergeant Pumpus. And yeah, I do like that idea. I do like what he did. Although something that surprised me for when he played his role for Sergeant Pumpus was how he was going to. I was expecting more to record himself lip syncing Sergeant Pumpus's lines, but instead what he did was act out the lines himself. And yeah, that was surprising. Not a bad thing. That was something nice he did. That was cool how he had himself be Sergeant Pumpus like that. Yeah, and kind of funny too. And yeah, but what I found disappointing though was that he didn't show the casting choices for the other band guys, Sergeant Pumpus's other band guys, Sergeant Pumpus's Fancy Pants Club Band. But yeah, it would have been nice if we saw the casting choices for the Fancy Pants Club Band. But hey, at least we got to see the casting choice for Sergeant Pumpus. And again, Richard had himself be Sergeant Pumpus, which I thought was good. Now, what casting choices did it go over next? Oh yeah, there's another really good Sonic casting choice from this cast, and that's Cream the Rabbit as Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah, I really like that casting choice. Definitely not as much as Shadow as Puss in Boots, but I still think that's a really good casting choice. It's pretty fitting and whatnot. Yeah, there's also a South Park character as Ariel, and yeah, just like in the Cartman 1 review, I'll say this again. I think any South Park casting choice in this Cartman 2 project of his works really well, works fine enough. Sure, not all of them are fitting, but I still think they work fine enough. Yeah, I would maybe say the best South Park casting choice that was introduced in this Cartman 2 project was how he had Satan be Mongo. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, I'll talk more about that later. Okay, so here's another casting choice they did that involved him using one of his OCs, I would say, and that's how he had the orange headphone How he had, like, you know, his orange headphone character be the guy who says, announcing the long-awaited return of the beautiful Princess Fiona and her new husband, or something like that. Yeah, the guy who says that type of line, he had this orange headphone character of his own be that guy. Yeah, that's a good OC casting choice idea. And oh yeah, there's yet another really good Sonic casting choice from this Cartman 2 project of his, and that's how he had Chris's grandpa from Sonic X be the chef, be the dinner chef for the dinner scene. Yeah, I do like that casting choice. That is pretty fitting, pretty funny. But still, the best Sonic casting choice in Cartman 2, in this Cartman Shrek series in general, is still Shadow the Hedgehog as Puss in Boots. But that doesn't change the fact that I don't think there's any other good Sonic casting choice in Cartman Shrek. Okay, now continuing on. Now next up, I want to cover the casting choice for the Far, Far Away puppy. You know, the Far, Far Away dog in Fiona's room. And that is Spike from My Little Pony Equestria Girls as the Far, Far Away puppy. I'm not even going to talk about that. I don't want to go in depth that much with any of these My Little Pony casting choices. I really do. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I've made that plenty clear on the channel that I fucking hate My Little Pony, and I'm so sick and fucking tired of seeing the show be used on people's spoof casts so goddamn much. And oh god, man, it's part of what tones down. It's like the main thing that tones down the enjoyment of these Cartman Shrek series for me. Yeah, any My Little Pony casting choice in the Cartman Shrek series is garbage. Garbage, no matter how fitting it is. In my opinion, any My Little Pony casting choice is complete and utter freaking garbage. Garbage. Garbage! I don't need to keep talking about this. I've already made that plain clear in the Toon Story 4 review / Kind Rant video that I did last year. Garbage. Don't need to go over it. I don't want to talk about any of the My Little Pony casting choices anymore. Let's move on. Okay, so he didn't show the casting choices for Fairy Godmother's Bodyguards. And if I remember correctly, he did the same thing as Dookie 2 Project from well over a year ago, so... Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to see the casting choices for the guards, which, yeah, would have been nice to see. I mean, yeah, it's a small casting choice, but it still would have been nice to see. But still, though, now I want to go over the casting choice he had for the Friar's Fat Boy Worker Lady. I would say it's one of the best Johnny Test casting choices that I've seen from these spoof casts by far. That it does work, and that's a good one. Now, the next casting choice I want to cover. Okay, now I want to go in depth with the casting choices for the guys at the bar. You know, the guys at the bar. So, first starting off with Cyclops. So first off, you got Sully from Monsters, Inc. as Cyclops. What do I think about that? I think I covered this casting choice when I did my Randall Shrek movies review. Yeah, and yeah, that's a really good casting choice. I prefer him as Shrek, but still, he's a really good choice for Cyclops. That works. And now, as for the other bar casting choices, you got as for the casting choice for Captain Hook, you got Iago, the parrot from Aladdin, as Captain Hook. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good casting choice. Yeah, and rest in peace to Gilbert Gottfried, the guy who voiced Iago. Okay, now continuing on. Another Johnny Test casting choice in Cartman 2 is how he had Johnny's mom be the female frog who says, "Do I know you?" at the bar in Cartman 2. Yeah, that's another good Johnny Test casting choice. I wouldn't say it's as good as Mary as the Friar's Fat Boy Lady, but still, that works. That works well. And as for the casting choice for Jerome in the Far, Far Away Factory, you got Mr. Nezer from VeggieTales as Jerome. Yeah, that's a good casting choice. And but yeah, you also got Drake the Penguin be the bird version of Jerome, and yeah, I honestly don't have an opinion on that casting choice. And here's a funny little error he did when he went over the casting choices for Jerome in the end credits. He accidentally called him Gerald. See, so you got Mr. Nezer as Gerald, and you also got Drake the Penguin as Gerald Bird. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, Drake the Penguin. Silly typo. I'm sure you didn't mean it though. But yeah, as for Fairy Godmother's other workers at the potion factory, you just have them be themselves, which I freaking hate. Oh my god, too lazy, man, too lazy. Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't mind the other potion factory workers being themselves. Hey, after all, I did the same thing for my Vegeta 2 Shrek 2 movies for Project. I even had the bird version of Jerome be himself. Yeah, so yeah, I shouldn't talk. But yeah, I don't mind the other potion factory workers being themselves. I mean, yeah, it would have been cool to see an actual casting choice be used for them. But still I don't mind it that much, though. But yeah, here's some more casting choices that I don't exactly have an opinion on. And that's the casting choice for the three girls and, Jill and the other two maidens, like, in the barn for, like, when Shrek and Donkey... So for when Shrek and Donkey's human and stallion forms are introduced, and yeah, that's so you got Totally Spies girls as them. Don't really have an opinion on that. I don't remember watching Totally Spies. I don't remember watching that much of Totally Spies. Like it does look like a pretty good show, but I'm not like crazy interested in checking it out. It doesn't look like it'd be too much my thing, but it looks pretty decent though. It looks pretty good. Yeah, another casting choice I don't have an opinion on is like the casting choices for the father and the son who who Shrek like puts on the clothes from. yeah. He had moral Oro characters be them, be the father and the son who who are the people who Shrek's clothes wear from, who Shrek wears the clothes from. And yeah, I don't really have too much opinion on that casting choice either. Don't really remember watching that much of moral Oro. I remember watching a bit of it off Adult Swim. And yeah, it does look like a pretty good show. So yeah, again, at least this isn't a casting choice for any series I hate, but still don't have too much of an opinion on that. Okay, now with all those out of the way, let's get down to the casting choices for Human Shrek and Stallion Donkey. And yeah, let's do this. Okay, so for Human Shrek, who did Richard have Cartman turn into from drinking the potion? Well, since you have Princess Peach from the Mario movie as Human Fiona, you also got Mario himself from the Mario movie as Human Shrek. And even though I haven't even seen the fucking Mario movie, I still think it's a great casting choice because I love Mario, and I love how Richard had Mario be Human Shrek the same way Gladys Velasquez did for his Sonic 2 Shrek 2 Moves project, except he only used the new Mario movie version for our Human Shrek. And yeah, I do really like that since I'm a Mario fan, and I do love Mario as Human Shrek. That works very well. It might be my favorite casting choice in this Cartman Shrek series, honestly. Then again, there's also a Shadow as Puss in Boots, but still, like Mario's Human Shrek's definitely one of my favorite casting choices from the Cartman Shrek series. I really like it. As for the casting choice for Stallion Donkey, so for the casting choice for Stallion Donkey, a casting choice for Donkey, the casting choice for Donkey from Rabbit Lover's Cartman Dookie Shrek series makes a comeback with this, and that is this idea how he had Kenny from South Park turn into Johnny from Johnny Test from drinking the potion. What do I think about that idea? I think it works really well, even though, I did rewatch some of Johnny Test off of YouTube, like, last year. Yeah, I still think it holds up well. I'm sure not as much as it did when I was little, but still a good show, though. Even though I'd rather watch South Park than Johnny Test, I still definitely prefer Johnny Test as Stallion Donkey over Kenny as, the normal Donkey. It's definitely more fitting. I think I prefer probably both of the casting choices of, Mario's Human Shrek and, I definitely prefer the casting choices. I definitely prefer Mario and Johnny as Human Shrek and Stallion Donkey over Cartman and Kenny as the normal versions of Shrek and Donkey. Even though I like South Park more than Johnny Test, although I think I like Mario more than South Park. That's why I prefer the casting choices for Human Shrek and Human Fiona in this series over the casting choices for the ogre versions of Shrek and Fiona in this series. But yeah, I really like Mario and Johnny as Shrek and Donkey, the human and stallion versions of them. I think that works really well, and yeah, especially Mario as Human Shrek. And yeah, it's sad how we had to say goodbye to them in Princess Peach at the end of the movie. Oh well. But yeah, both work really well, and a nice upgrade from Cartman and Kenny being the ogre versions of Shrek and Donkey. I mean, the ogre and donkey versions of Shrek and Donkey, I should say. Just called Donkey and Ogre. What am I? Silly me. Okay, so I finally got the casting choices for Human Shrek and Stallion Donkey out of the way. But there's still some more casting choices I want to cover before I cover other stuff from Cartman 2. Like how he had VeggieTales characters be Hansel and Gretel. Pretty good. Another good VeggieTales casting choice. Yeah, and he also had a Stuart Little couple be Tom Thumb and Thumbelina. Yeah, about that casting choice. I don't really have too much opinion on that. I think I might have seen Stuart Little when I was little, but I don't remember that much from it. I've definitely heard of it, and I think I might have seen Stuart Little when I was little, but still I don't remember that much from it. So continuing on. Oh, and I'd probably say it would be a crime for me to forget this casting choice. Because, you guys remember in the Shrek 2 Living La Vida Loca scene when Donkey and Puss in Boots are both singing Living La Vida Loca, and there's this lyric line where Puss says that girl's going to make him fall. Well, yeah, he actually did have a casting choice. Rabbit Lover did actually have a casting choice for the girl who makes him fall, unlike probably most Shrek 2 spoof films on YouTube. And yeah, who did we have be the girl who makes Puss fall? Marceline, the vampire queen from Adventure Time. Yeah, why did he do that? Why did he have Marceline from Adventure Time be that girl? Because simply to make a reference to what I'm going to do for my Shadow Shrek series, because spoilers, I'm going to have Marceline be Ogre Fiona, and since I have Shadow as Ogre Shrek, I'm going to ship them together the same way I'm going to ship Vegeta and Bulma from Dragon Ball together for Human Shrek and Human Fiona. And yeah, he did that as a little reference to that, and I really like that. Yeah, I really like it. And yeah, I am excited to have a Shadow and Marceline be Ogre Shrek and Ogre Fiona for my Shadow Shrek series. I probably like it. I probably say I like it almost as much as Vegeta and Bulma being the humanoid versions of Shrek and Fiona. But yeah, I do really like that little reference he did. And yeah, I think that about covers it for casting choices. Okay. Ooh, and I spent quite a long time on casting choices, huh? Well, there's a bunch of characters they introduced in Shrek 2, so it makes perfect sense. Now I want to go over some unique ideas, some other problems I have. Okay, now so like in Cartman 1, there were some cool ideas done with extra casting choices and unique ideas and whatnot. And yeah, I would say Cartman 2 is more different from Shrek 2 than Cartman 1 was from Shrek 1, because there's some story changes and whatnot. For example, for the I Need Some Sleep scene, obviously I was expecting Cartman to I was expecting Richard to do the scene like this, the normal old-fashioned way with not playing only playing part of the I Need Some Sleep song by the Eels, and yeah, have a Cartman compromise with Eustace, have him plan some outdoor father-son time with him tomorrow. But no, he did that scene differently with by playing the whole I Need Some Sleep song by the Eels, which was a nice and cool unexpected idea. And have Cartman decide to go out on an adventure on himself to help make Katie from South Park feel better, feel happy. And yeah, he decides to go out by himself, without Eustace telling him that he wants to compromise with him or anything like that. He just leaves his mom's company, just leaves without his mom to go out with Kenny to make Katie happy. And yeah, I do like that unique idea he did. Yeah, there were also some parts where he played music from the Shrek 2 soundtrack, just music, the music themselves from the Shrek 2 soundtrack, and voice over the music and whatnot. Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, there were some other parts where he did scenes differently than how he was originally supposed to do them in the movie. And part 17 is no exception. Oh my gosh, were some scenes done differently in this part. And yeah, that's what dragged it out to over 6 minutes long. I thought maybe since this part was over 6 minutes long, I thought this part would also cover the final battle scene and Eustace turning into that green person and us say and also have us saying goodbye to Mario, Johnny, and Peach in that same part. But no, it was dragged out to over 6 minutes because of these cool, unique ideas he did with added dialogue. For example, at the scene where Fiona knocks out Prince Charming by headbutting him, instead of having Princess Peach headbutt Bowser, because yeah, I don't think Princess Peach would be able to headbutt Bowser. I think if she were able to do that, Bowser probably wouldn't be able to kidnap her as much, because he'd probably be scared of Peach, and yeah, Peach would being kidnapped by Bowser wouldn't be as nearly as much of a hard time for Peach that way probably. So yeah, since Peach knocking Bowser out with the headbutt wouldn't make sense, he decided to have his stuffed elephant at his home come into the movie and take Bowser away, deal with Bowser, instead of having Peach knock out Bowser, which I thought was really good. And as for the part where the fairy godmother goes up to King Harold and shortly confronts him about not giving Fiona the love potion. Yeah, okay, so for the line where Harold says, "Well, I guess I gave her the wrong tea." Yeah, he replaced it with this line where he was saying something let me explain. But yeah, Diane is being impatient and doesn't let Eustace explain. So what does he do? What does she do? She intentionally shoots Eustace with the potion that turns him into that, green worm thing. Yeah, she intentionally did it. When, if you don't remember, in the Shrek 2 movie, Fairy Godmother does turn King Harold into a frog, but it wasn't intentional. That was when she was trying to, like, hit Shrek and Fiona, like, hit Shrek with the potion, but no, the potion hits King Harold, and, the potion knocks back into Fairy Godmother, and, it causes her to explode and whatnot. And, and speaking of the Fairy Godmother exploding, does Diane Simmons explode in this movie? Is that her demise? No, here's something that makes more sense. And here's my favorite, twist, like my favorite unique scene in the Cartman, probably the Cartman Shrek series in general. When Diane Simmons attempts to kill Cartman, who is turned into Mario, and she shoots at Mario, and Cartman transformed into Johnny is worried about, Mario dying, and, it's like, Eric! And Diane Simmons attempts, shoots at Mario. But does Mario get shot? Does that bullet land on Mario? No. As a matter of fact, I don't even think she shot the bullet. I think because Cartman's mom, Leanne Cartman, beat her to it by shooting her in the chest before Diane could even shoot Cartman. And that causes that of course causes Diane Simmons to die and whatnot. Oh yeah, it's a gory and dark scene, but it was a really cool twist that really impressed me. And it really surprised me too, because I thought he was just gonna have Eustace sacrifice himself to save Mario the old-fashioned way, but no. Instead, he had Diane Simmons attempt to shoot Mario normally with a gun, a real gun, even though it's in a cartoon. But have Leanne Cartman save her son from getting shot like a good mom would do. Awesome. I'd probably say it was almost had me at the edge of my seat good. It was so good. If I do a list of my favorite moments from the Cartman Shrek series, that scene will definitely make it onto the list because it's such a great scene. It's probably my favorite scene, I don't know, maybe my favorite scene at least during the Mario and Johnny transformation in Cartman 2. Yeah, but it's such a great scene though, such a great scene. It's a really cool twist that I was not expecting. Nicely done. And there's some other cool, unique ideas he did. There's some other cool, unique ideas that he did in this spoof project of his. And there's a line replacement that I really want to go over, before that final battle and stuff kicks in. It's during the night scene where Mario, Johnny, and Shadow get arrested. Okay, so what he did in replacement for the line where the guy says, "We got a white Bronco headed east into the forest," or something like that. He replaced it with this line. He replaced it with this line that he did with a computer voice or whatever. He didn't even act this line out himself, but he did it with a computer voice or whatever. And it's something like this: we got a fat plumber, a flame-headed boy, and a black hedgehog going on a rampage around the Mushroom Kingdom. And by the way, speaking of the Mushroom Kingdom, that's what he used as a replacement for Far, Far Away in Cartman 2. So just like how you replaced Duloc with Canada in Cartman 1, you replaced Far, Far Away with the Mushroom Kingdom in Cartman 2, which makes perfect sense because after all, that's where Princess Peach came from. That is the Mario world and whatnot. That's a really good, unique idea he did. And one last unique scene I want to go over is what he did in replacement for the Donkey scene, the post-credits scene where Donkey and Dragon have babies. But since Kenny is too young to have kids, Cartman's too young to have kids too. That's why he's not doing Cartman the Third or Cartman Forever After. But since Kenny can't have kids, and since Maria from Braceface can't have kids, he of course didn't have Kenny and Maria have kids together. So instead he had Kenny and Maria meet up 3 days later outside the Mushroom Kingdom at home. They have a nice conversation with each other, which I like. Although, I remember Maria in that unique scene, she stated that she was transformed into a pink teenage party girl. And I knew who that pink teenage party girl was. Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony Equestria Girls. Not even going to talk about that. But I'm glad that casting choice didn't get shown in Cartman 2. That probably would have made me cringe pretty dang badly. But that's a cool, unique idea he did in replacement of Kenny and Maria having kids. Because, how could Kenny and Maria have kids? It doesn't make any sense. But, Okay, so, I think I've covered a good chunk of, unique scenes in this Cartman 2 project of his. There's something, unique... And, I did cover a good chunk of that, the unique twists and, certain scenes being done differently. I do really like how he did certain scenes differently because, you know, like certain scenes would make more sense if he did it this way, and yeah. Although I guess you could argue that, you know, if it didn't make sense to do the scenes normally, then maybe he should have like spoofed a different movie or whatever. But still, I really like how he did certain scenes differently like that. I really like that. Okay, now there's another scene I want to specifically go over, and that is the "I Need a Hero" scene, which is the scene covered in part 15, or no, wait, no, part 16. Part 16. Okay, and yeah. Now First of all, there's another casting choice I want to go over, even though I think I said earlier in the video that I would stop going over casting choices in this video, but I still want to go over this casting choice for I Need a Hero scene. And that's how he had a Hank Geckerman, or whatever his name is, from Johnny Test, that news guy, be the guy who says, "Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Princess Fiona and her new husband, Prince Shrek." Yeah, he actually had him be the guy who says that. That news guy from Johnny Test be the guy who says that. And that's a nice idea. I like how he actually bothered to use a casting choice for that guy, because, you know, he didn't do that in his Dookie 2 review. Even though it doesn't matter that much to have a casting choice for that guy, because, you know, it's not like, because yeah, while we do hear the guy talk, while we do hear the guy speak, we don't like see him, like physically see him. We don't like see his body or anything like that. So yeah, I guess that is excusable to not have a casting choice for that guy. But still, it's nice that he was able to add in a casting choice for that guy. Okay, so yeah, more information about what he did for that I Need a Hero scene. So if you guys don't remember, in Dookie 2, in his old Dookie 2 project, yeah, he did such a lazy job with the I Need a Hero scene in his Dookie 2 project. And I gave him shit for that in his Dookie 2 when I did the Dookie 2 review last year. Yeah, he barely synced up anything in his Dookie 2, in the I Need a Hero scene of his Dookie 2. You know, showed random My Little Pony footage without, like, syncing up any of the action that was going on outside, the dancing and whatnot. Yeah, that pissed me off. That annoyed me. But did he do the same thing in Cartman 2? Thankfully, not. I wouldn't say surprisingly not. I wouldn't say surprisingly no, but I would say thankfully and fortunately no. No, he did actually bother to sync up the action. He did actually bother to sync up all the stuff. You know, show the casting choices he needed to show and whatnot. You know, had the dude yelling the orders be himself and whatnot, and, you know, show the action with Satan and his Mongo and that cool stuff. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, and this scene in Cartman 2 is easily a million times better than the scene in than it was in Dookie 2. Because for one, you don't have any My Little Pony in this scene, and two, the action and all that stuff's actually being synced up like it should. Like, you know, not everything that should be synced up is actually synced up. Like Donkey saying "Shrek" all scared, like, you know, as Mongo gets submerged in, like, you know, that hot white water, and yeah, but still, like, you know, he still did a good job syncing up the action and whatnot. And yeah, but yeah, some problems I had with the scene was certain parts weren't synced up, or weren't really synced up that well. Like, he didn't sync up everything he needed to sync up in this part. Like, you know, Donkey's saying "Shrek" and, you know, some stuff like, you know, Donkey running and whatnot. You know, then show Johnny running for certain parts with, like, Donkey running. And yeah, another thing that really pisses me off about this part is what he did for the shot where the big door opens and, you know, they show Donkey, Puss, and the Fairy Tale gang behind the door, you know, getting all shocked and whatnot. So, yeah, this is something I've seen many other Shrek 2 spoof films do, too. But yeah, I'm going to show you what he did for that shot in Cartman 2. Here it is. In 3, 2, 1. Yep. That's right. That's right. He didn't bother to show any of the characters. He had to be any of these guys, you know, for that shot behind the big door. No, what did he do? He just lazily left it alone, like so. And I've seen many other people lazily leave the shot alone like that. It's like, why? Why? Come on. I mean, come on. I'm sure you don't have the editing skills. I'm sure you don't have the editing skills, even though your editing has gotten a bit better, Rabbit Lover. I'm sure you don't have the editing skills to make a big crossover pick for that. But come on, could you not, like, at least, like, you know, I don't know, maybe, like, crop the shot more, like, maybe, like, film, like, a really small part of the shot that doesn't show any of the characters' faces, or maybe, like, show Johnny or Shadow from behind or something, instead of lazily leaving it alone like that. Or, hey, maybe could you have at least continue to show Mario, the casting choice for Human Shrek, like I've seen a good chunk of other people do for that shot. I mean, it's definitely not the worst way to do it, but it's still a pretty lame way of doing it. But it's still way better than just lazily leaving a shot alone like that. Like, I've seen many other people leave that shot alone, and I Need a Hero spoof of Shrek 2. It's like, why? Why? And yeah, this is the problem I've talked about before in spoof film, in, like, other videos. How I really don't like parts of spoof films where people just, like, lazily leave the footage alone and show the faces of the characters they don't have as themselves. Like, again, if you're gonna do that, then why spoof the fucking movie? Why? If you're gonna do that, how about you re-upload the whole movie itself and risk getting a copyright claim? risk getting copyright claimed, risk getting copyright blocked. Yeah, and another problem with that is not only is that it's lazy, it can also increase the chances of your video getting blocked, of your spoof getting blocked for copyright. Seriously. Yeah, that's easily my least favorite thing about the I Need a Hero scene for Cartman 2. Even though, yeah, it's a really small shot, but still, it still pisses me off. And it's a problem that I've seen many other Shrek 2 spoof films do. It's like, come on, it's not that hard to make a... Like, for the majority of these other guys who do it, it's not that hard. Come on, I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard for you guys to make a big crossover pic of all the characters behind the big door. And yeah, if you guys don't remember, when I did that scene for my Vegeta 2 Shrek 2 Movie Spoof project, I did actually bother to make a crossover pic for that shot, like the majority of these other guys, unlike the majority of these other guys. Really, the only other person I've seen make a big crossover pic for that shot is from Jose Manuel when he made this big crossover pic shot for that shot in his old Chimero 2 project, or however the heck you pronounce the name. He actually bothered to make a big crossover pic for that shot. It's this big shot right here, and this big shot right here, and he's the only other person who I've seen make a big crossover pic for that shot. No one else, I swear, no one else. So yeah, I remember when I first saw this scene, saw he did that shot from his Shrek 2 project. I had a late reaction, but that made my eyes go big, and I was like, whoa, surprise. I was like, finally, someone else who makes a big crossover pic for this shot. Yeah, I would really like to see more people make crossover pics for that shot. Not exactly that I'm forcing them to do it for their Shrek 2 spoof projects for the I Need a Hero scene. Because people can do what they want for their spoof films and whatnot. I get it, but still, I would still like to see more people make big crossover pics for that shot. Yeah, if you guys couldn't already tell, that's exactly what I plan on doing for when I do that scene for my Shadow 2 Shrek 2 Movie Spoof project. Yeah, make a big crossover pic with Goku, Gumball, and Darwin, and Cat Dog, and the Eds from behind, all looking shocked. Oh man, I can't wait to do Shadow 2. And by the way, speaking of Shadow 2, this Cartman 2 project is what's getting me more excited to do Shadow 2 and whatnot, especially at the scene where Diane dies from Leanne Cartman shooting her and saving Mario. That got me really excited to do that sacrifice scene on my Shadow 2 project. But yeah, that's beside the point. But yeah, despite this lame problem that I have with part 16 of Cartman 2 with the I Need a Hero scene, I still really like the I Need a Hero scene of Cartman 2. Some cool action and whatnot, and it's still a million times better than it was in Dookie 2. Easily. God, that scene in Dookie 2 is garbage. But hey, yeah, it's still a really good scene. I would give that scene maybe a 7 or maybe an 8 out of 10. Yeah, it's still really nice and well done. Yeah, I'm still happy that he actually bothered to sync up the action stuff with the I Need a Hero scene for Cartman 2 that time. That was really nice and well done. But yeah, what are some other problems I have with Cartman 2? Well, okay, some problems I also have with Cartman 1 too. With Cartman 2, okay, so in Cartman 2, while Cartman 2 does have more parts than Cartman 1, there were still some parts that were pretty long. There were still some pretty long parts that covered a lot of stuff, and while I do really like the idea, it also resulted into some parts being put out of sync if they're too long. Same problem with Cartman 1, since that, some parts in Cartman 2 were out of sync since they were too long, and, since Rabbit Lover kept hitting pause on his phone as he was recording the footage and whatnot. And I don't blame him for doing that. I'm sure it wasn't intentional. I'm sure it wasn't intentional, and I remember going through that same type of problem before, when I was making videos with my mom's phone, like I said in the last video, but still, that is a big problem that does affect a good chunk of the Cartman 2 project for me. But still, I'm sure he didn't mean it, I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but still, that is a pretty big problem for me. And also, another problem I have with this project is, how, well, it would have been nice to see him use more clips and pictures and footage and stuff. For the casting choice of Eustace and Muriel from Courage as King Hero and Queen Lillian, while I do really like that casting choice and think it's really funny, I do wish he would have used more clips and pictures of them. And there were some, I noticed that he was being pretty random with the clips he was using of them too, pretty darn random. So, he could have done a better job with the clips of that. But although I guess I could see why he would he wouldn't put as much effort into putting into what clips he uses for his Cartman 2 project, since he really did care about getting this out enough time for me to getting his Cartman 2 project done enough time for me to review his Cartman Shrek movies this weekend. So I also would like to see more clips be used for Shadow as Puss and Boots. That would have been nice. Yeah, he mostly kept using the same clips of him from Sonic X, and I did notice that he used, and I'm pretty sure he used, a couple of the pictures he used were taken from my old Vegeta 2 Shrek 2 Movie Spoof project, the scene in Sonic X where he looks shocked and whatnot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was taken from part 23 of my Vegeta 2 Shrek 2 Movie Spoof project. Pretty sure it was. So that's another nice, well, maybe that's not exactly another reference to me, but still it's another nice nod to me, I'd say. Although I wish he would have used more clips and footage and stuff of Shadow. I mean, Shadow gets plenty of screen time to be pushing boots, but he kept using the same clips and pictures of him over and over again. And yeah, look at the amount of pictures I've used of Shadow so far for my Shadow Shrek series. A bunch. Like, barely even anything reused. But yeah, it would have been nice to see him use more clips and pictures and stuff of the characters, but it could be worse. I mean, I think, I've seen people use less footage for the characters and, like, other Shrek spoof films. So yeah, it could be worse. And of course, I also don't like the amount of My Little Pony stuff in it. Like I said before, that's another big problem for me. And yeah, there was also certain parts where we see the characters' faces, and yeah, but probably the majority of them weren't intentional though. But that scene I was going over earlier with, like, that part of the I Need a Hero scene where the big door opens and they show all the characters from behind it. Yeah, that was definitely intentional. And I really, really hate that part of the I Need a Hero scene of Cartman 2. Like, seriously. I wish he would have at least made. I wish he would have, like, at least, like, crop up the shot, like, film, like, a certain small part of the camera of the shot that doesn't show any of the characters' faces and whatnot. But still, despite those problems I have with it, but yeah, what else I want to talk about with Cartman 2? How good is it quality-wise? Same type of quality as Cartman 1. The quality of Rabbit Lover spoof films of his videos have improved a little bit, but they still could be better. But still, they are getting a little bit better, He's doing a good job, like, he is able to, like, edit the color scheme of the screen for certain parts, which is cool. And, yeah, he's able to, like, draw on the screen as shown, like, the transformation scene at the end of Cartman 2 where Mario, Johnny, and Peach turn back into Cartman, Kenny, and Haiti. Yeah, he was able to draw in Kenny stuff on Johnny for, like, when Johnny turns back into Kenny to make it look more like Johnny's turned back into Kenny, which I really like that. Nice that he did that. And, yeah, he's learning some new stuff with the U-Cut app, how he's able to edit text on the screen and whatnot. So yeah, the quality of his videos are getting better. But yeah, they still could be a lot better. His video quality could still be a lot better, but they're improving a bit. Like I said before in the last video, it is cool how us YouTubers can improve in quality over time. And yeah, how good is it syncing wise? Same thing like with the Cartman 1 review. It's got some pretty good syncing and whatnot. And yeah, I think that about covers it. So yeah, I reviewed both Cartman Shrek movies, and yeah, if you guys want to watch the Cartman Shrek movies, link to the playlist as both of them will be in the description below. And yeah, that's about it. How did I review this on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, I definitely like it more than Cartman 1, since I like Shrek 2 a bit more than Cartman 1, and also since there's Mario, Human Shrek, and there's Shadows, Puss in Boots, and whatnot. I think this is more likely of an 8 out of 10. I'll give this project an 8 out of 10, a definite 8 out of 10. There's some pretty annoying things about it, but I still find it really enjoyable. It's by far my favorite spoof film from Rabbit Lover. Yes, yeah, Doogie 2, get out of here. Cartman 2 is the winner. Cartman 2 wins as my favorite spoof film from Vanilla Rabbit Lover. So, and I don't think any of his Toy Story movies will surpass Cartman 2 because I don't like Shrek. I don't like Toy Story as much as Shrek, even though I love Shrek and Toy Story almost equally. But I don't think any of his upcoming Toon Story remake movies will be as good as the Cartman Shrek movies. Although I'm still looking forward to his Toon Story revival movies, and yeah, I'm looking forward to reviewing them and whatnot. But as of right now, I think I'm good. I'm reviewing Rabbit Lover stuff, and I just gotta wait until he finishes up his 3 Toon Story revival movies, and yeah, I gotta start reviewing them, and yeah, it should be fun. So yeah, overall, I really like Cartman 2. There's some pretty annoying things about it, yes, but still, I still really like Cartman 2. I still think it's cool. I got a bunch of really good casting choices, got some pretty fun, unique ideas, cool twists and whatnot. Overall, really good, and I'd probably say it's one of my favorite Shrek spoof films on YouTube. Yeah, it's definitely, like I said before, definitely by far my favorite spoof film from Vanilla Rabbit Lover. So yeah, Doogie 2, get out of here! Cartman 2 wins! Cartman 2 is the winner. And yeah, I'm planning on going back to this project a lot and whatnot. And yeah, it's what got me more excited to do. Yeah, it's what got me more excited to do my Shadow 2 Shrek 2 movies for project. And yeah, I don't really know what else there is to say. So yeah, there you have it, Rabbit Lover. I reviewed both of your Cartman Shrek movies. And yeah, don't really know what else there is to say. Okay. So I'm going to get this video ready to be uploaded and whatnot and enjoy the rest of my Saturday off, as this will be my last weekend before my last day of school in the 12th grade. And yeah, which also just happens to be my brother's 21st birthday, my last day of school. So yeah, some cool stuff. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my last weekend before ending school. And yeah, that's it for this video, you guys. Bye, everyone, and thank you all for watching this video.